This is a fast and fun strength session that is designed for your ovulatory phase. In this workout, we are targeting all the major muscle groups in the upper body, and we are using a pretty challenging weight selection. So rather than working in supersets where we're kind of pairing muscle groups and working through continuous rounds of 2 to 3 exercises only, we're going into more of a circuit format today. So we have 5 exercises, each targeting kind of isolating a specific muscle group. What that does is it allows us to get more work done in a shorter amount of time because we're giving each muscle group kind of a full circuit to recover before we come back to hit that muscle group again. So hopefully that makes this feel a little bit more sustainable, and it gives you a little bit more access to maybe a slightly heavier weight selection for your upper body. So for instance, today I'm using a set of 15-pound dumbbells where some of these exercises, if I were to do them kind of continuously back to back, I might only be able to do 10 or 12 pounds. So today I'm able to go up in weight. It's a great way to target the muscle development that we're looking for during the ovulatory phase, kind of this mid-cycle of peak performance where we see that estrogenic surge that carries us from a low hormone state to a high hormone state. We have this brief window of opportunity where estrogen gets to kind of be the highlight of the show before progesterone comes onto the scene. So progesterone remains suppressed. We get to reap all the benefits of estrogen kind of without some of those antagonizing effects of progesterone. Don't get me wrong, I love progesterone, but when it comes to muscle development and kind of our metabolism, estrogen has a lot going for it. It works in our corner for these kind of more high intensity, kind of stronger stimulus workouts. So that's what we're looking to do in today's practice, is create that significant stimulus that signals muscle adaptations like strength improvements, like lean muscle tissue development. That's what we're going for today. What that means is I want you to be kind of in that struggle point between 8 and 12 reps. We are using an interval structure of 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest, but I want you to aim for 8 to 12 reps in that 40-second interval. And I want it to feel hard toward the end, like you're really ready to let that muscle group recover. We're using the interval structure really just to keep us on track for time so that we can stay under the 30-minute mark for this workout all together. We have those 5 exercises, pure strength exercises. It's a very traditional strength set in the beginning. That'll be 15 minutes long. And then we're closing the practice with a 4-minute AMRAP. So we have 5 exercises. We're performing 4 reps of each in a continuous fashion for as many rounds as possible. So looking to kind of work in a little bit of conditioning, a little bit of core work while focusing on the upper body in that second part of the workout. If you are short on time, maybe you're feeling pretty toasty after that first 15-minute part of the workout, you can skip the AMRAP and go straight to your cool down. Really, I encourage you to use the elements of each workout as they fit you best. Maybe you want to go to a prescribed rep scheme. It feels too fast using the intervals. You can maybe stay tuned for the first round through and then go at your own pace, working to that 8 to 12 rep range. So even in the interval workouts, when we're talking about strength training, I like to give you kind of the rep scheme for reference so that you can take it and work it in your own way if you want to work outside the video at your own pace. This one does include that 5-minute warm-up at the beginning, the 5-minute cool down at the end, and then we've got our 20 minutes of work in the middle. I'm really trying to keep these to 30 minutes to make them feel accessible, enjoyable, and to really allow you to work them into your day however they suit you best. Because we are in the interval structure, those transitions are very quick. I try to give as many forum cues as I can. However, if you're new to the practice, or maybe you just want a little bit of a refresh on some of the alternatives, the progressions, and ways to scale each exercise, please tune into the tutorial. It's linked in the video description below. That one will be a quick run through all of the exercises. You'll get all the alternatives you need, ways to scale and progress so that you can make these exercises work for you. That's another great way to kind of use the movement tutorial. If you want to work at your own pace, you still get all of the information that you need for each exercise before you take on the practice for yourself. So now let's get into this workout. Let's go ahead and get our upper body warmed up for some strength training. Go ahead and stand in a comfortable place on your mat. Feet are about hips width distance apart. We're going to inhale, take the arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, side bend to one side. Take your bottom hand, press those hips in the opposite direction. You might take your top hand behind your head, press your head into your hand, feel the shoulders open. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Big breath in here, reach up through center. Let's switch to the other side. Lean up and over. Again, option here to take that top hand behind the head. Really feel both feet rooting down evenly into the ground. Then as you inhale, come up through center. We're going to alternate with a twist and a lat pull. So twist, bring the elbows down towards your ribs. Inhale, come through center. Exhale, twist and pull. I want you to make sure that you're keeping your hips facing straight forward. You're getting that thoracic spine mobility so that upper back is rotating independently. Inhale and exhale. Really feeling the full range of motion in the shoulders here. Start to tone the belly a little bit, drawing the hip bones up toward the low ribs. Last one here, reach up. This time, take opposite elbows at your lower back behind you and simply circle the neck. So feel that stretch in the shoulders one direction and then the other. Just creating a lot of space here, starting that nice open quality in the neck from the beginning in our upper body practice. Here for just a few more breaths, you can start to travel to the back of your mat. Feel the upper back kind of lengthen and open. And then from here, start to reach the arms up overhead. Inhale. As you exhale, take your hands down, walk out. Gentle push up, either knees up or knees down. Walk the hands back, take the arms overhead, reach up. Inhale. Exhale, walk it out. Push up, knees up or knees down. Feel that chest come alive here. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, walk it out. Last one. And then from here, I want you to transition to a downward dog. We're simply going to move from downward dog and then inhale, take the knees down, soften the belly, cow pose, shine the sitting bones back. Exhale, follow that wave of the spine all the way through downward dog and inhale, cow pose, stretch the spine. Exhale, take a few more rounds using your breath, really feeling that undulation in the bones of the spine, that you can move them each independently. Last downward dog here. Then as you inhale, come to tabletop. Reach your right arm forward, left leg back. Square the hips, square the shoulders. And as you exhale, bring the knee in, elbow back. Inhale, reach. Exhale, draw those two limbs closer together and keep them in parallel tracks. So you're bringing that left knee to the left elbow. You're bringing your right elbow toward your right hip. Try not to let the shoulders or the hips twist. Starting to wake up the core here and switch. Left arm forward, right leg back. Exhale, hug it in. Start to feel a little bit of heat as you lengthen the breath. Really connecting to your inhales and exhales, trying to match the cadence. Last rep here, inhale, reach, and exhale, pull it in. Come back to tabletop, bring your right hand behind your head, open the elbow nice and wide, keep the hips square, and then exhale, wrap your elbow under. More of that T-spine release, so the upper back moves independent of the pelvis, so we can rotate the rib cage on its own. A lot of times those two structures in our body get a little bit frozen together, where we're moving hips and rib cage as a unit, but I want you to really feel that they can move independently here. Let's switch sides. Left hand behind the head. Open that left elbow nice and wide and exhale, wrap it under. Inhale, reach, broaden across the heart, and exhale, wrap it in. You might even feel some cracks and little sounds happening in the bones of the spine here. Big breath in and slow breath out. Really reaching. We have one more exercise after this. Let's walk the hands out, come into your plank position. And then I want you to refine it. So feel all 10 finger pads spreading and pressing down. And I want you to hug the heels of the hands and the ball mounds of the feet together. As you do that, keep that coiling in the low belly, hip points toward the low ribs, and then stretch your heart forward. Keep the back of the neck nice and long, and then continue that iterative process of refinement. So we press down, and then we hug in, stretch forward. You got this. 2, 1, step your feet to your hands. Nice and easy. Let's roll up bone by bone all the way to standing. Take a huge breath in and sigh it out. That is your upper body warm up. Hopefully you're feeling that little bit of heat and you're ready to move into your strength work next. You are warmed up, and now it is time to get into this upper body strength session. The first part of our workout just has 5 different movement patterns. We're completing those in 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. It's a pretty standard strength set. So I want you to have a set of challenging dumbbells, something that is going to put you toward fatigue in the 8 to 12 rep range. That's what we're aiming for in each 40-second interval. Then for the second half, we have a 4-minute, more of a conditioning AMRAP. That one you can go to a slightly heavier set if you have it, or you can stick with the same set that you had for our strength work in the beginning. I will get our timer going. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out the movement tutorial. It'll guide you through these 5 movement patterns so that you can get the most out of each rep, and it'll give you different modifications, alternatives based on where you are in your fitness journey and what equipment you have at home. But for now, we are getting right into this workout. So I will get our timer started. We have 20 seconds to set up for our first exercise, which is a simple shoulder press. This one, we are lifting the hip points toward the low ribs to get that strong standing position. Micro bend in the knees. We lift up through the chest, keep the shoulders back and the chest expanding. We're taking the weights out to the sides here. We go for 40 seconds. Let's begin now. Push it up and back down. I want you to resist the temptation here in the beginning to use the legs to turn this into a push press. Instead, I want you to make it that strict work in the upper body. If you need to, you can even sit on a chair or a stool to take the legs out of it. Inhale deeply as you come down. Exhale to come up. That'll help engage the low belly. And it will help you maximize the efficiency of that rep. Use your breath to your advantage here. We've got just 3 more seconds. And rest. We've got 20 seconds in between. We're moving to our bent row next. This one, we have the same position with the feet, and then we're simply hinging at the hips just enough to get that range of motion. I want you to draw the hip points toward the low ribs. Keep your chest nice and long. Back of the neck is neutral. We're pulling the elbows back. Here we go. We pull it back. So it's coming out a little bit wider than your shoulders. So it's not a narrow grip row, but we're really pressing those shoulder blades onto the back. Make sure you're not selling yourself short, that you extend the arms all the way at the bottom, and also look out for shrugging of the shoulders. I really want you to keep this focused in the back. If you feel any strain in the lower back or even the mid back, I want you to first draw the navel into the spine, hug the pubic bone up toward that navel, and then if you need to, you can always decrease that hinge just slightly and rest. Next up, we have a biceps curl. So this one pretty straightforward. Depending on your weight selection, if it's pretty heavy, you might be in more of that hammer curl shape. If it's manageable, you have the palms turned out and you're really squeezing the biceps at the top. Let's go in 2, 1. We pull those biceps. So this is a pull action where we are drawing that weight closer to the body. We got this. Again, make sure that your chest is expanding. You've got those collarbones broadening apart. This one, more of a limiting exercise. It's a smaller muscle group than, say, the shoulders or the back. So if you need to pause and reset, that's okay. If you need to switch to single-sided work, that's okay too. Just alternating one side and then the other. Let's rest. Set that weight down if you need a grip break. We've got about 15 seconds of recovery here. Then we're coming to our bent tricep extension. So we're in that same hinged position. This time we're going to hold that row, that narrow row. So we're in that bicep 90-degree bend, and then we're simply straightening and coming back. Straightening the arms, squeezing the triceps, and coming back. So feel how the triceps lengthen when you come back to that starting position, and then they shorten to extend the elbow. Try to avoid swinging the weight, especially as you come back into that starting position. Again, this should feel pretty heavy for this muscle group. It's part of the reason we're working in more of a circuit format today, less in supersets or back-to-back work. It's because we're heavily loading each muscle group, and we want to give it enough time to recover. So just think you have about 4 minutes now until you hit triceps again. Lots of recovery time for that muscle group. Next up, bent shoulder raise, coming into that static curl once again. And we're simply going to open to the sides. We're here, open it out and come back to center. Again, make sure you're not shrugging the shoulders. They stay relaxed away from the ears. And this one also very heavy, smaller muscle group in the top of the shoulder, that medial deltoid. So if you need to, like I do, you're switching to single-sided work. There's no shame in modifying this practice to keep it sustainable. I don't want you to be excessively sore tomorrow. I don't want you to be tempted to sacrifice your form just to keep both arms moving. We've got 3, 2, and 1. Set those weights down. That was our first round, just like that. 5 minutes in, we've got 2 more rounds just like that. So we're starting with that shoulder press. You can bring the weight into position. Really find your strong stance in the beginning. So we lift those hip points to low ribs. Weights come up. Let's begin. Take it overhead, push, and back down. I'll demonstrate from the side so that you can see the spine curve is not changing. So you're not overarching the lower back or rounding in the upper back. All the work is happening in the shoulders. You've got that straight, strong, stable spine. So we are in follicular phase mode here. We are, ovulatory phase mode. So we're looking to tap into a little bit of that power, a little bit of strength. Last 3, 2, and 1. But we are challenging ourselves. So we're pushing that threshold of intensity where you're feeling a little bit more of that fatigue with each new exercise. Coming into our bent row next. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. So in this phase, we start to see estrogen surging. I like to call it an estrogenic transition because it's taking us from a low hormone state to a high hormone state. What that means is we have this sort of brief window of opportunity where we have estrogen kind of working on its own while progesterone remains suppressed. Estrogen is anabolic. It supports muscle building. It supports our stamina. So lots of things here that are helping us to build that new lean muscle tissue. Last 2 and 1. You can set the weights down for a posture break. Shake it out. Biceps curl is next. So in this ovulatory phase, I like to work in a couple of different modes. We're pushing toward building strength and also incorporating hypertrophy like we've been doing in the follicular phase. Let's begin. So we're creating that stimulus, that significant stimulus with heavy load to signal adaptations like muscle development, like strength development. And here we have our anabolic hormones in our corner. Progesterone is not all bad, but it does tend to kind of antagonize some of those benefits of estrogen. And that's why we change yet again in the luteal phase. We adapt our training mode for the presence of progesterone. But here, we're tapping into that ovulatory phase mode. And rest. Tricep extension is next. So you want to be going heavy enough. If you feel like you're just blazing through these, not really feeling that fatigue around rep 8, 9, 10, then I want you to try to go up in weight or maybe slow down your tempo so that you're spending more time under tension. Tricep extension is next. Send it back and in. Here, make sure you're being mindful of your core engagement. So anytime we come into that bent position, I feel it in myself all the time, especially as I get tired. The belly starts to soften. We lose that integration. And that's when you start to feel strain in the lower back. Instead here, I want you to pull the navel into the spine. Feel that strong base of support from the center, from your pelvis. We got this. For just 3 more seconds. Feel those triceps and rest. Bent elbow raise, shoulder raise is up next. We're opening out to the sides. Again, I might switch to single-sided, going with a heavier weight selection today. So I want to be able to maintain form. I don't want the shoulders to shrug. That's what can lead to that residual tension after an upper body workout. That used to happen to me all the time, where after working with upper body, I would get tension headaches, I would have a sore neck, sore shoulders. When you really start to focus on form and let the target muscle group do the work, you can alleviate some of that tension in the neck and shoulders. We are working shoulders here, but I want you to keep it in the deltoid without shrugging those shoulders up to the ears. That's what throws some of the tension into the neck. Last one, and rest. Excellent job. This is a quick flowing workout. We're already done with 2 rounds and it went by just like that. We have one more. That's just 5 minutes of this strength set, and then we move into a bit of a conditioning finisher. So let's come into our shoulder press and take it overhead. Push it up and back down. If you're like me, you can travel a little bit with your shoulder press. Sometimes it's hard for me to stay in one place, but what I want you to focus on, even if you are traveling, is that spine stays upright. You're not changing the curvature of the low back. But sometimes it just gives the illusion that the work isn't quite so hard. So you do what you need to push through these last few reps. Last one. Excellent job. Bent row is next. You can set that weight down in between, maybe give a bit of a shoulder roll. We'll go in just 10 seconds. I love this type of upper body work. It's focused, it's direct, and the circuit training allows us to do more in a shorter amount of time. Pull it back because we are giving that added recovery by working several different exercises back to back. Inhale as you extend, exhale to pull it back. Focus on your form here. Notice the neck and shoulders. Back of the neck is neutral, so you're not gazing forward or back down. Stays nice and even in the center. We've got under 10 seconds. I know that weight's getting heavy. 3, 2, and 1. You can set the weight down, shake it out. Biceps curl is next. So we go from those larger muscle groups down to smaller muscle groups, which means the weight might start to feel heavier as we get into biceps, triceps, and shoulders. Let's come into position for a bicep curl. 3, 2, and 1. Curl it up. Again, here, I want the elbows to stay hugging to the midline. So you're sort of locking that position of the elbows so that only the lower arm is working. This is an open chain exercise. It means the end of your limbs, so the hands are free to move with that weight, and it's naturally going to be an isolation exercise. So especially as you hug those elbows in, you're really isolating the biceps. I know it's heavy. Stay with me. And rest. Tricep extension is next. Same thing here. A lot of our upper body movements, especially when we're standing, are going to be those open chain isolation exercises. So you're really kind of laser focused on a single muscle group. Next up is the triceps. So we'll come into that static curl position, hug the elbows in, and then we simply straighten. This is another opportunity, if you need it, to move single-sided so that you can get high quality reps all the way through. I'm going to take that option here because I feel a little bit of that swinging happening. And what I want instead is to stay in control all the way up and all the way back to that starting position. We've got just about 10 seconds left on the clock. One more exercise before our finisher. We got this. Stay in it. 2 and 1. You can set those weights down, shake it out, roll out the shoulders. One more exercise in this quick strength set. So we're moving in about 10 seconds, and then we'll switch it up. Let's go in 3, 2, and 1. So I always like to attempt that first rep with both arms, but that tells me right away, it gives me all the information I need to know that I'm still in single arm mode here. So if you need to make those adjustments, please do so. If you have lighter weights and you're not really feeling that fatigue at the end, you might be in a tempo, taking 3 counts to lift and 3 counts to lower. I tell you what, you can do a lot with very light weight by just adding that slower tempo. You might not get as many reps because we are in this interval structure, but you're getting more bang for your buck with that tempo loading. Let's set the weights down. I'm going to set up my next set of work with the heavier dumbbells, and I'll quickly walk you through these exercises. We have a 4-minute AMRAP, which means we're setting a timer for 4 minutes, completing as many rounds as possible of these 5 different exercises. The exercises will alternate between a standing position and then more of a plank or a quadruped position. So our first exercise is a dumbbell push-up. You're going to be in the narrow position. I will be taking the knees down. That means we're curling the hip bones toward the low ribs, taking the elbows straight back, bringing the chest toward the floor, and pushing up. You can also be on the toes. Might take a couple like that. It's only 4 reps each time, so it should be pretty quick. After that, we are going to step our feet to the dumbbells. We come straight into our upright row. So here we're lifting up. Notice how the weight is close to the body, but we're not tipping the shoulders forward and the elbows up. I want that open shoulder here. So we've got that upright row. Again, just 4 reps. Then we're coming down to our renegade row. A couple of options. You can have the knees down, pulling that elbow straight back. So you hug the elbow into the sides and your shoulders are square, hips are square. You can also be on the toes for that renegade row. You can also be in a bear plank. If the full plank creates any tension in your lower back, you can be here. I actually think that the bear plank is slightly more challenging than the full plank. After that, we're coming back to standing for our push press. Simple, tiny bend, big push, tiny bend, big push. And we will close it out with a dumbbell pull through. So you'll set one dumbbell up ahead. You're going to come into your bear plank position and we're simply pulling 1, 2, and then all the way to 4. What I want you to look out for here is hips and shoulders stay in that same plane the whole time. They're not twisting. This is an anti-rotation exercise where we are engaging the core by resisting the rotation of the hips and shoulders. So now that you have that quick overview, we've had about a minute to recover. We have 4 minutes to finish this workout so strong. So remember, it's 4 reps of each exercise. We are moving continuously for that 4 minutes, resting when you need to. So taking those extra breathers whenever you need to. So I'll start our timer now. We've got 20 seconds before we jump into our dumbbell push-ups. So make your way down. decide whether you want to start on the knees or the toes. Want your shoulders over wrists. Remember, you're bending the elbows back, stretching the chest across the bottom, and then squeezing like you're trying to hug those dumbbells together at the top. Let's go in 3, 2, 1. 4 reps. Take it down and squeeze. Down and up. So these are quick reps. There's only 4 of them. And come up. Step your feet to the dumbbells. Upright row. 4 reps. Pull without swinging. Stay in control. Back down. Renegade row. So I'm going to take it in the bear plank. Pull the elbow back. 2, 3, and 4. Come up to your push press. Weights come overhead, tiny bend, big push. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dumbbell pull through. One weight is in front, one weight is behind. You're in that bear plank position. Roll it to the side and pull it through. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Staying low to come right back into your dumbbell push-up. We have 1 minute down. Let's try to get 3 more rounds. Here we go. Down and up. Just 4 reps. Knock them out. Nice and easy. Step your feet up. Upright row. Pull it up and extend. Up all the way down. Here's 3. I know that weight's heavy. Last one. 4. You got it. Renegade row is next. Just 4 reps. 1, 2. Keep those shoulders and hips nice and even. Not rotating. There we go. Push press is next. Come into position. I know that weight is heavy. If you went with your heavier set. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Excellent work. Dumbbell to pull through. Split those weights. We're halfway through our 4-minute time frame. 1. I need to pick up the pace if I'm going to get those 4 rounds. And back to the push-up. I'm going to bring the knees down this time. You take what you need. Here we go. 4 reps. Breathe. This is where we're turning up that intensity. Just a touch. Upright row, getting a little conditioning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Renegade row. Step it back. Pull that elbow to the hip. Quick reps here. Each exercise only takes a few seconds. But it's a challenging few seconds. Push press. Here we go. You'll notice when it starts to get hard for me, you'll hear fewer verbal cues as the work gets hard and I'm breathing more heavily. We are coming into the 4th round. We've got 45 seconds. Let's see if we can finish. Maintain your quality reps, even as you maybe pick up the pace. Upright row. Breathe here. Stay with me. I know it's hard. This is where the change happens. If you're in that renegade row with me, keeping the shoulders and hips square. Push press. 10 more seconds. And rest. That is your 4 minutes. So in your workout journal, in your notes app, in your phone, in your calendar, maybe you're marking when you complete these workouts, note where you ended up. So I got 3 rounds and then all the way through the push press. Didn't get that last round of the dumbbell pull through. For now, I want you to circle the arms back and forward. Start to bring that breath down. Nice deep inhales, long, slow exhales. Take a little bit of an upright twist. So this dynamic movement we are using to guide the heart rate, back down before we jump into cool down mode. You might take a couple shoulder dips here, kind of free the spine so that we're not carrying any tension with us from this workout. I'm going to take a few standing cat-cows here. So really soften the belly and then round in, curl, stretch the back. Last couple breaths. Notice when your breathing starts to change. So you feel that drop back down to more of a baseline where you can carry on a conversation nice and easy. You're not gasping for breath. If you're still at that high intensity, that high heart rate, I want you to continue some dynamic movement. Otherwise, if you've felt that transition, you know you're ready to head into your cool down, and I'll meet you there next. You have just completed your upper body strength session, and now it is time to cool down. So when you're ready, make your way down to a tabletop, nice and slow. We'll bring the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, simple cat and cow. Let's inhale, soften the belly, stretch the spine, shine the sitting bones back. Exhale, follow the wave, ripple it from the tailbone all the way to the crown of the head. And just be in this flow for several breaths. Inhale. And exhale. Really feeling all the places where you've experienced the work of your practice. And trying to free any tension that might still be lingering around here. Next, I want you to open that right arm nice and tall, stretch the fingertips toward the ceiling, and thread that arm under. Bring your right ear temple to the mat. Press your left fingertips down, rotate the left shoulder open. So here, hips are staying nice and fixed. We're letting the rib cage wrap around the axis of the spine, stretching the upper back, the shoulder blade. And then we'll slowly exchange. Bring the right hand down. Inhale, left arm stretches skyward. Thread it under. Bring that left ear or temple to the mat. Spider your right fingertips to give a little bit more leverage, a little bit more of that rotation. And press the back of your left hand down. Draw the upper left arm in the opposite direction. Again, hips stay pretty fixed here. So the rotation is happening in the upper back. And we'll slowly unfold. Let's come into kind of a tripod shape with the arms. So press the palms together. And then just puppy pose here. So soften heart, belly, chest toward the floor. Really feel that stretch under the armpits, maybe even the triceps. So you're pressing the pinky side of the hand, forearms down. You can even start to round the upper back just a little bit. And then again, soften heart, belly, chest toward the thighs. We'll be here just a breath or two more. And then we'll slowly come up to our kneeling position. Take your right arm under, left arm over for eagle arms. You can always take opposite shoulders if wrapping is too much. Then we're simply going to lift up and down with the elbows. Nice and easy here. We'll have 30 seconds on each side just to really stretch the triceps, the shoulders, the upper back. Last one. Then open, stretch across the chest nice and wide, and switch. So left arm under, right arm over. Now we're reaching those elbows up and back down. And even as you reach up, try not to shrug the shoulders. So you're keeping those shoulders nice and relaxed away from the ears. Just really feel that mobilization of the shoulder blades here. Last couple of breaths. And then you can stay in this kneeling position or lower hips to the heels or come into a cross-legged position. We're going to take the hands behind the head, and I want you to lift up sort of at the base of the skull here, the occipital ridge, really lengthen the neck, and then slowly bring your chin toward your chest. So you're not really pulling the head down. We're just lifting it up, giving that little bit of extra assistance with the hands and lowering down. Last one like this, and then release. I want you to take your hands to the right side of your chest, the collarbone. Draw down on the collarbone and then bring your left ear toward your left shoulder. This should feel really good. Lift your chin forward and back like you're shaking your head, yes. So This is a really great stretch for switch sides for your upper body days to make sure that you're not taking any tension away in your neck and shoulders. Last big breath here. And then we're going to come into a seated position. Knees are bent. Take your left hand back, reach your right arm up and lift the hips. Feel that stretch in the front body and switch sides. So I want you to keep your bottom hand, fingers are facing back, and we're just alternating this lift and stretch. You should feel that across the chest and the front body here. Last one. And then to your seated position, nice generous bend in the knees. Let's cross at the wrists, find opposite feet, and then push your feet into your hands as you gently pull back on your feet. So you feel that stretch in the upper back, broadening across the shoulder blades. You can tuck the chin into the chest if you like. Just really kind of freeing and letting go of any residual holding or tension in the back and shoulders here. And then we slowly come up. Let's cross at the ankles or just transition in your own way from that seated position to your forward bend. And roll up nice and easy, bone by bone. Give your shoulders a bit of a circle. Just make sure there's not any little areas of tension that are holding on. Let's enjoy a huge breath in and a slow breath out. That is your very quickest cool down for the upper body. If you have more time to spend in each of these stretches, you might run through the cool down once again, or just stay a few extra minutes to show your upper body some love. It worked hard today to support you, and now you have to give it that opportunity to cool down. So I want to thank you so much for showing up for your practice, for staying for your cool down to support your recovery, which is such an integral part of your workout and movement practice. Thank you for being here and for letting your body be moved.